Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneurs in a Game podcast. I've got an amazing guest for you today. His name is Ronnie Nijmeh, and he's a founder of PLR.me, which is a leading content provider for coaches with over 13,000 done-for-you white label products you can download and brand as your own. Ronnie has also mentored and coached tens of thousands of coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs. And I'm so happy that he's here with us today, sharing his wisdom on his mindset. Ronnie, a very warm welcome to the Entrepreneurs in a Game podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, Nina.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have you here. And I can't wait to dig around and, around your inner game and just see how you've managed to create this hugely successful business and for you to be able to share your wisdom with our listeners and viewers. First of all, how did you come up with this business idea and how did you get it off the ground and make it so successful?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's kind of a funny story. When I was sort of figuring life out, I created a blog all about personal development and self-help, and then I wrote some books about stress management. And kind of accidentally, I landed on national television here in Canada and in the US on radio talking about stress. And I, kind of figured out this whole content marketing game where you would produce content and you'd be found, and these producers were contacting me for shows, and it was fantastic. It was wonderful. But I realized very quickly that me hearing about people's stress was stressful. And that wasn't for me. The whole idea of stress management, it just became a sort of a huge burden on me. But I realized that other coaches were coming to me and people in the health and wellness field, and they're saying, Ronnie, how are you doing this? How are you getting on TV so easily? And how are you doing all of these different things? And I essentially built up this sort of content marketing process, creating content, distributing it, getting it up on different platforms, getting attention of different audience and clients and so on. And so I transitioned from being a coach for people with stress to being a coach to coaches and consulting other businesses all about content marketing and just marketing in general. So that was going back to September 2008 when we launched PLR.me. And PLR stands for private label rights. So essentially it's just white label content that you can download and brand as your own. And we've never really looked back since. It's been so much fun to work with people who help people. It's been fun to see that I could actually reach more people by helping those who help others, right?
So. Yeah, absolutely. And what role would you say that your mindset played in you being able to get on TV, being able to talk to this much bigger audience? Because for a lot of people, they would never have thought, well, I can't do that and I wouldn't be any good on that. And, they would have passed by on that opportunity.
It's terrifying. It's mind-numbingly terrifying. I can tell you that the main reason that I was able to do any of those things is that I didn't actually overthink it. So there have been many situations, and TV is weird. TV and radio is weird. They don't give you a month lead time to book you for an interview. I mean, in most cases, I think the maximum I had was a 3-day notice for national television. I had a radio interview scheduled 2 hours before it was going to go live. So, and these they don't give you much time to think. And so I remember one specific situation where I was in a health food store with my at that point my fiance. We weren't even married yet, but I get the phone call on my cell phone in the middle of a health food store. Hey, I'm the executive producer of this such and such show, and we'd love to have you on. And, it's going to be this Friday. This was Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. And I, immediately after I hung up, I'm like, what did I just agree to? This is terrifying. And I think a big part of the success that I've experienced, it boils down to a few things, but one of them is I really try not to overthink things. You can really psych yourself out. You can really say, oh, you know what? There's 1,000,001 reasons why I shouldn't do this. But if I don't actually get to that point, if I just say yes and I commit and I don't overthink it, I'll be okay. And it turned out fantastic. I mean, I got there, they took me up this special elevators just for guests to the green room. They put slathered makeup on me. It was really odd. And like, that is not something I've ever experienced. And then, you're standing there in the studio with a live studio audience and nobody knows who you are. And then they call your name up and you go walk on and you talk. And that 7-minute segment felt like 25 seconds. And you walk off and everyone's now staring at you. And I just had to get through that moment. Like, yes, I'm experiencing fear, but I did it anyway. You push through the fear and I did it anyway. And I mean, I can say that about almost everything that I've done. It's easy to be like, well, I've got to do this and that and a million other things, but I just don't think about it. and it reminds me, last story about this. It reminds me as a kid, I looked up to, like, I'm in Canada, so we're a hockey country. And I looked up to a lot of goaltenders and, the guys who stop the pucks. And one of the things that I remember hearing as a kid was the best goaltenders, they had no memory of what happened in the past, right? Like if you just get scored on, and you focus on that and you fixate on the fact that you stunk and you made a mistake and all of this stuff, then the next time the shot comes, your game is not ready. Your mind is not ready. You're not focused. And so that really stuck with me, that the best goalies kind of like, they just forget. They don't remember what happened in the past. What only counts is right now in this moment. Focus on the now. And that has really stuck with me really for my whole life. Just get through things, face the fear, push through it anyway. And it's been, it's been really motivating and helpful for me in my mindset over the years.
Yeah, I love it. I love what you're saying. And there's a couple of things I'd like to just delve into, because the overthinking is you can think yourself out of something very, very easily if you keep thinking about it, and then you find all these reasons why you can't do it. So the not to overthink things is brilliant, because our rational mind isn't there to solve all our problems. And sometimes, we could just say, yes, I'll do it. And then you find a way to do it. Because once you're committed to someone else, then it's much harder not to do it. Actually, The pain of not doing it becomes harder than the pain of doing it. The other thing is, you said these hockey players, they don't have memories of what they did in the past. So they can't impact them in the moment. And that's very relatable to business owners, isn't it? Because you can say, well, I tried to launch and it didn't work the last few times. Therefore, there's no point in doing it again because no one wants what I've got. It's not going to work. And therefore, I don't want to fail again. Therefore, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So easy to think like that about it. So not thinking about what happened in the past is so powerful. And is this something that you do as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so easy to focus on our successes and our wins, and it's also easy to focus on our failures. It's easy to focus on that really horrible comment we got on a Facebook post, or a nasty email from someone, or something negative that happened. It's easy to focus on those things, and those things are the ones, and hey, I'm human. It's happened to me before where, you get just something that just crushes you in your spirit in that moment. Maybe it's a negative comment or something, and you fixate on it and it bothers you and it festers in you. But that's never helped. Like, that's not going to make me better. If I can take that negative comment and, dwell on it for 5 minutes and then move on. If I need to improve. If that person's just having a bad day and taking it out on me, and there's it's just something negative that I can't control, and that it's not something that I did directly, or, if there's nothing that I can improve, I'll just take that, bottle it up and say, all right, I'm not going to focus on that. And again, I'm not perfect. You have the down days and you struggle, but sometimes you just need to push through and say, I'm not entertaining that negative thought anymore. I need to move on. And over the years, that's happened a lot. I mean, before I had the business that I have now, over the last 11 plus years, very successful, very happy. We have 15 staff. We support thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of coaches and counselors and therapists and people in the health and wellness and personal finance and all these different fields. We're so successful we have now. It's easy to be like, oh, well, look, everything's amazing. It wasn't like that though, right? I mean, I had to push through, like in university, professors telling me one-on-one, like, yeah, that's cute that you're trying to start your own little business, but it's probably not going to work. And you're probably going to have multiple jobs and blah, blah, blah. Or my parents, like, oh, it's, and it's nice that you're doing this, but maybe you should look at getting a day job or whatever over the years. It's so easy to just fixate on those things and make that part of your fabric and make that part of your mindset and your psyche and your being. But it's a lot. It takes effort to say, okay, thanks for the advice. Is it helpful? No, it's not helping me. So let's move on. Let's amp up the resilience to 100%, 110%, and just keep pushing through. Fight through that the negative talk from others. Fight through the negative talk from your own mindset and just kind of push through. And it's not easy. It's an ongoing battle. Some days are better than others. And obviously, if everything's going well, it's easy to be upbeat and positive. But that's not what matters, right? What matters is, how do you overcome the challenging situations, the times when things aren't great? How are you going to push through that fear? How are you going to push through that anger or resentment or despair, and seek hope and seek, resilience and fight through it so that you come on the other side happy and successful and doing what you're meant to do?
Yeah, you and I think very much alike. Being an entrepreneur, obviously has its ups and downs almost daily, weekly. So there's so much going on all the time, so much stuff coming from the outside world. Why do you think mindset is so important to be as successful as any entrepreneur wants to be? Because, we're taking action sometimes, we'll be procrastinating. But why is the mindset, do you think, so important, such a key part of being a success?
I mean, bottom line is, our thoughts dictate our actions, right? I mean, it's something that we've heard a million times, but if we're thinking, in a box, if we're thinking in a negative light, that's going to affect what we do. And one thing that I found, going back to before I started PLR.me, my coaching practice, the stress management, all of that stuff, one thing that helped me so much was actually getting outside of my head and talking to other people, talking to other business owners, talking to other people who would masterminds, people who would support me. And there were a couple of people that entered into my life that saw things about me and my business that I couldn't see in myself. And that helped to, erase maybe some of the negative stuff, overcome some of the bottlenecks that are in my head, and help me to push through. And the funny thing is, I would be able to easily say that about someone else. But when I look at myself, and this is like for everybody, you look at your own business, you look at your own life, we can't see our own problems. Sometimes we need someone else to point that out. I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right. You're totally right. I need to work on this, or I need to fix this, or I need to patch this, solve this bottleneck, or fix this issue within my mind. So that years ago, when I was involved in these masterminds and talking to other business owners who saw things that I couldn't see, that helped to strengthen the fabric of my own mindset. And it really encouraged me and it brought me to new levels. And it brought me to a place where I feel really comfortable, confident in what I do. And sometimes you just need that external push. Sometimes you need that external view of you to help boost your mindset. And that's, I think, sometimes the hardest part of being an entrepreneur, having your own business, is we sort of feel like we have to do everything ourselves. We're our own island. We can't talk to other people. That's crap. We really need to focus on building each other up, supporting ourselves with other people who are of a similar mindset, similar approach to life that we can build each other up. We can see the holes in each other's businesses and lives that we can help to support and improve each other. And so that really helped to solidify my mindset and solidify what I'm good at and what I need to focus on, and maybe some areas I need to improve. But that was just a game changer for me. And that's the funny thing is mindset's always evolving. Uh, Before you're married, after you're married, before kids, after kids, at certain ages where maybe you're kind of rediscovering you're always having to reinvent yourself. And we can try to do everything internally and just, hope that works. Or we can also do work with others, people who we trust and know and love us and support us. That could be our spouse. That could also be a business partner, a mastermind, someone who could really lift us up and fill in the gaps. To me, that's been the biggest game changer.
Yeah, and I would concur, because we can't see our blind spots. We can't see why we're not moving forward and stuck, but someone else can easily see it and point it out to us. And it's a very expansive, generous way that you're speaking, because it's really helping each other. It's not being competitive or worrying that someone's better than you. It's actually just helping each other and reaching out, and then everyone gets better and grows and evolves. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, because how many people are there online that you can, reach out to and connect with? And for me, it's been one of the biggest game changers for me as well. So I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with overwhelm? Because as entrepreneurs, we have so many things to do on our list, and the mind can just say, it's too much, I can't handle it, I'm just not going to do any of it. Or try and spin 20 plates in one go and be completely, overcome with muddled thinking. So how do you approach overwhelm, with your inner game?
Oh, a few things. I mean, so I'm notorious for having too many ideas. Like my team laughs at me. It's like, oh, here's Ronnie again. But, so that's a good problem and a very bad problem sometimes. And I think a part of it is I've had to learn to say no. And I've had very expensive lessons in this. Over the years, I've started software businesses where it was a fantastic idea. It worked well, but it wasn't totally perfectly, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just wasn't well executed. It wasn't, I didn't have the bandwidth to do multiple things, juggle too many things. And it required me to say no. It required me to pull a plug and say, I can't do that anymore. And my wife is an amazing support person in this, because she knows that about me. She knows I'm like, let's start this and start this and start this and start this. And she'll say, whoa, wait a second. Did you discern this? Take a breath. Like, wait, before you jump in, really process this. Think about it. And she's an introvert. She's a processor. She likes to think. And I'm like, go, 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 go. So I can very easily overwhelm myself. And so I think the first step has been to say no more than saying yes, as starting something new or anything like that. And if I find sometimes that the other thing is I have to rely on others. I have to rely on my team. And, I need to say look, okay, what do you think about this? Should we take action on this? Is this something we need to do right now? Or can we just add it to our list? and that kind of brings up the next point, which is getting organized. I mean, I'm a guy who has tons of ideas, and it just cycles in my head. The only way to get it out is by organizing it. And so we use Trello to organize tasks, ideas, projects, features, thoughts, all of this stuff. And we can organize it in a very visual way. And when we're ready, we can pull it and start working on it. That's been a huge help, because otherwise in my head, I'm cycling through all of these things I want to do. And all of a sudden I'll start to feel anxious. I'm like, well, why am I feeling anxious? Well, it's because I haven't got this stuff out of my head. So that's like, okay, today's a mind dump day. Like, let's get everything out. Let's organize it and communicate that with the team or, whoever, whatever you need to do to get it out, and just start to make a plan. And so that's overwhelm is definitely something that I have struggled with. Again, the tendency of having too many ideas means the tendency to be overwhelmed constantly. So I think saying no getting organized and trusting my team has been a really big factor to reduce that stress from constantly feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, some wonderful ideas there. But it's really about taking action. It's about stopping it going round and round in your mind and getting it down, whether it's on paper or online, some sort of system, whatever it is, it's getting it out of your head. And then you can start seeing, okay, is that worth pursuing or not?
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned the word resilience earlier in our
Yes.
call, and resilience is such an important part, isn't it, of just to keep going when things aren't going well. So how do you pick yourself up after a setback?
So there's a few things that I tend to do. I think, I think it boils down to personality. So for me, I've realized, and I'd never thought that I was an extrovert. It's kind of a weird thing because I work from home. I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to stay at home, like not even leave the house for like a couple of days, like totally fine with that. Like I'm just totally fine working and I'm happy. I never thought of myself as being an extrovert. And my wife is definitely an introvert. So, and I think there's a lot of confusion about what those mean. Like, I would see my wife and she's like super social. Like everyone likes to talk with her, but that's not how she gets her energy. Her energy is in processing and being alone. Well, for me, I get my energy by talking. I get my like I'm like so energized right now talking to you, and I think that actually has been how I've overcome setbacks and just like chaos in my life. It's by talking it out and having trusted people that I talk to. So obviously my wife, some close friends, some business friends, people who do what I do, who understand the life of an entrepreneur, the life of a business owner who has a million one things going on. And talking it out, I actually get re-energized, refocused, and just kind of ready for battle again. It's kind of like, again, a sports analogy. I mean, there's some amazing coaches and coach speeches like throughout history that have motivated teams, or the gladiators or whatever. Like sometimes you just need that like pump me up to push through. And other times, and for other people that doesn't work, it's they need to retreat and they need to process and they need to think. And that's what helps them to re-energize and refocus. But for me personally, it really has boiled down to taking that time away from action to talk, process through talking, process through, communicating with other people in a mastermind. And, this is what I'm working on. This is the problem that I have. Or how do I push through this difficulty or whatever it is? Meeting with people and talking with people has helped me build that resilience and not being discouraged, right? I mean, it's so easy, like, oh, this isn't working, or, customers are frustrated about this, or I'm not, whatever the problem is. It's easy to focus on the problem, but I've always turned that into, okay, that's the problem. How do we solve it? How can we get through this? And it's kind of boils down to what I was saying earlier, not overthinking it. Like, okay, great, that's the problem. I'm not going to focus on the problem. I know what the problem is. What's the solution? And so brainstorming, talking, that's for me how I get through things is, okay, well, let me talk to my team. Hey, developer, this is the problem. What do you guys think? And let's talk about this. Or, hey, customer service extraordinaire. Like, what do you think? These are the problems that we're having. What can we do about it? And me talking it out, what ends up happening, my brain starts to go when I'm talking it out, and then the ideas come.
Yeah.
But if I am more introverted, internally processing, I get stuck. So I think it boils down to knowing who you are. Do you get your energy by talking to others? Maybe you need to talk out the setbacks and problems and where you're at to push through, or maybe you need to retreat and be alone and write it down, journal, whatever you need to do to process and get it through. I think there's no one right solution. And for me, it works so well. And for my wife, and be like, no, I don't want to talk to anybody. I need time alone. And then she'll come up with amazing solutions. Right. So
yeah. And for me, it's I always think there has to be a way to do this. And that way didn't work, but there has to be a way to do this because other people are doing it, and therefore, and I'll just keep working at it in my mind until I come up with another way of trying it out. And it's a challenge. It's fun. It can just be a game. We don't have to take it too seriously.
I love how you said that, because that's actually something that my wife and I are very similar in this way, and people look up to us for this, which is kind of funny, but we'll always find a solution. Like there's always a way. And like Google is our friend. We would search, we would ask people, and it's led us to becoming really not just resilient, but resourceful. And I see that a lot where it could be family or friends, or it could be customers, and, they'll come to us and say, well, I don't know how to do this. Well, Google it. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, okay, let's learn how to help ourselves. Let's learn how to be resourceful. And as business owners, we need to be really resourceful, because if you have an assistant or a developer or someone working for you, doing something for you, they're going to come to you. And your job as the business owner, as the head, the leader, the manager, your job is to be resourceful. Your job is to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but let's figure this out. And so, whether it's some weird medical condition, my wife and I could research and figure things out, post in groups and forums, like ask people. Or whether it's like solving some weird bug on your website. Like, you're not the only one who has a website. You likely there's probably thousands of other people who have the same issue. Be resourceful. And I think that's the hardest part for a business owner is, like having to answer to so many people, customers, staff, yourselves, your own family. Like sometimes you just need to be, pushing that learning, right? Constantly learning, constantly growing, watching videos, reading books, training, because that's how you build up that resourceful and that resilience muscle. That's been such a game changer for me as well. I mean, there really aren't too many problems that we can't solve. Like in our business, like we're not trying to like fly to Mars. Like we're working in very sort of simplified businesses. We can solve most of these issues if we have the right people, if we ask the right questions, if we know how to research. And just those three things alone allows us to be resourceful enough to get what we need to get done in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, and it really starts with the thoughts that you have that can turn that challenge into something that just floors you, or turns it into something you think, okay, I can take this on. This is going to be fun. Let's figure this out. And some challenges aren't worth figuring out. It's just dropping them and saying, okay, it's not worth spending time on that. But there are certain things which can bring up so much resistance through our thinking, but you can just change that thinking, turn it around, and see it as something that that's going to help you to really grow. I could talk for a long, long time about this with you, but unfortunately, we're coming to the end of the show, and I want to make sure that all our listeners and viewers can find out more about you and your work. So could you explain, you mentioned a little bit, but could you explain a little bit more fully exactly what you provide?
Yeah, so I run a company called plr.me, so plr.me, and what we do is we have done-for-you coaching resources, books, presentations, full courses, articles, graphics, all of these sorts of things that you can download and you can brand as your own. So there's actually over 13,000, or like almost 14,000 actually, resources that you can download and brand as your own. And you get the full source file, so you can open it up, you can add your name, you can add your logo, you can change it completely, you can mash together 10 articles to turn it into an ebook. You can upload the course onto your favorite course building platform and sell the course as your own, keeping 100% of the profit. The idea is you just don't have to write from scratch. You get something that you can use, brand it as your own, tweak it, inject your own stories, examples, branding, colors, styles, examples, whatever you'd like to do. And it just saves you so much time. And we also have software tools to help you with this. So we've got content marketing tools like you can automatically create presentations, just paste in some text, hit generate, and it pulls beautiful fonts with beautiful royalty-free stock photo images, and you create a presentation automatically. Or another tool for WordPress blogs where you can upload 365 articles, hit go, and then it automatically schedules your blog for an entire year. Like you don't even have to do anything. Or other tools like branding PDFs, like you upload 100 PDFs, you can put your logo, put your call to action, like, hey, book a discovery call with me here, and with all of these cool tools that are available for our members. So just an easy shortcut to creating products and content that you can use on social media, on your blog, or use to sell and make money.
Brilliant. So it's great for saving time. And it's also great if you think, well, I'm not very creative and I can't think of ideas, because all those ideas have been thought of by you and your team.
Exactly. And the nice thing is you can make it your own. So the hardest part is getting started, right? You have that Microsoft Word or Google Docs page open, and it's a blank page with a blinking cursor sort of taunting you. You're like, what do I write about today? Well, you don't have to think about that, right? You can see the library, you can download articles or bundles or courses or whatever you'd like. And then you open it up and you can say, oh, you know what? This is really cool. I like this. I remember this reminds me of this client or this story of my youth or whatever. Injecting your own example stories and making it your own. You don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to hire expensive freelancers. You just can download it right away and deploy it right away. There's just so many great ways to use content, whether that's creating videos or webinars or live events. Like our clients have actually created calendars using the material. They created planners. They've created physical books. So you can do really anything where content lives, online, offline, in person, or digital, whatever it is. There's so many cool things that you can do with the content, especially when you don't have to write from scratch.
Fantastic. And I would really encourage anyone to go and have a look on the website, because it blew my mind when I went on there. The amount of fantastic content, easily categorized, so you can just dip into the bits of most interest to you. What's the best link to find out more about your content and to see it?
Yeah, so go to plr.me, and at the top you'll see products. You'll see all of the different categories that we cover, everything from health and wellness to finance, money, business, and marketing. We have a bunch of content, and you can see it all there. I mean, all the resources you can see a sample, a little preview, and you don't even have to create an account to see all of the content. But when you do create an account, you get 2 free download credits per month. So those, you can download a couple of items per month, absolutely free. There's no credit card required, nothing like that. You can actually go and just download some things right off the bat. And, we do have a different pricing options for different budgets. So if you want, to stock up a membership site and you need a lot of ebooks and articles and courses and stuff like that, or you just need a few items a month, we have different pricing plans for that.
Fantastic. Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing your experience and, all those wonderful insights about mindset. And I hope everyone who's been watching and listening that you got a lot of value from this call. I know I certainly did. And thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Nina, thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped. I'm so energized right now. I really appreciate you.
I can feel your energy is palpable. And for everyone who's been with us today, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye for now.